Yes, Steve Inslee, there's a lot in that picture. Right here, hanging from the wall, is the rover. You can see the 4 tires. That's one vehicle for the autonomous vehicle competition. Here's some of the broken H quads that I built out of 1/2-inch spruce dowels from Lowe's. Each frame cost $3 or $4 a piece, and the electronics on top of it. Right here is the quad honey badger. On the first ones I had. This is the second frame. I've actually bought 3, and I have the last one on the face of the planet in the bag on the workbench because they don't make these anymore. They went to more durable plastics, etc. But this was one of the original designs when all this drone garbage started. Of course, we have the Bixler trainer here so that I can fly the full blown one with the camera, everything on it hanging from the straps here in the ceiling. And hidden back here in the clutter is the Hexa, the flame wheel. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of its 6 arms. And then on this piece of crafter's plywood hanging from the ceiling back here is the other quad, which is the X650 quad. So there's 1, 2, 3 vertical platforms, 1, 2, 3 horizontal platforms, some leftover platforms. There's so much money hanging right there in the ceiling, it ain't even funny. This is the receivers right here for the video transmitters that are on this platform. These 4 platforms right here all have video transmitters and cameras on them. This, of course, doesn't. The electronics isn't on the rover right now. It's technically stripped because I used the electronics on one of the others. I only have 4 complete sets of electronics. At $800 for an autopilot, $79 for a GPS, $300 for a long-range RC, $79 for camera, about $79 or $129 for a long-range video transmitter, $100 for a long-range telemetry radio. Only having 4 complete sets. That's really something to complain about, isn't it? Yeah. Lordy. So yeah, there's a lot of toys there, Steve. Hopefully they'll do more for people, industry in the future years, search and rescue. Lost children, seniors that wander away from rest homes. These verticals won't. They don't fly long enough. This one's getting, the Hexa 6-arm is getting towards 20 minutes. And it'll carry a pretty good payload, which means I might be able, after I find a person who's either lost in the woods or wandered away, etc., with an airplane that will fly for 2 or 3 hours while I look down with the camera and the video transmitter and finally find them. Depending on how far away, if it's 10 minutes there and 10 minutes back, or less, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back, the Hexa might be able to carry 2 or 3 pounds worth of medical kit, water, space blanket or something, be able to get down through the foliage in the trees and actually drop it to the victims, whereas the airplanes would be kind of a harder way to do that. The little honey badger only runs about 7 minutes. It's more for sport and fun. The X650 in the back, once I put more $500 more in 4 motors in it on it, it too may become a 20-minute to 30-minute quadcopter, which might make it capable of more rescue type stuff. But the airplanes themselves, especially if I can get an airplane going 2 hours of flight, can actually cover a lot of ground. With an airplane flying about 200 feet in the air, the cameras we have nowadays, you can go to Best Buy and buy for $129 just your old Canon steady shot. You can actually get twice the video resolution of a satellite image. So you can actually do better than Civil Air Patrol. They'd be using the same resolution cameras, but they'd be up 2,000 or 3,000 feet. I could be flying just over the treetops and really be getting some high resolution video of what might be a person lost on a trail, etc., etc. My first utmost desire is just to conquer the science, I guess, is the truth. The autopilots, the telemetry, the complexity of all that. I've pretty much got it down with the 3 verticals. They could be used for surveying right now, aerial photography, limited search and rescue, recovery efforts. They could be used in forest fires, building fires. I could actually get up to 7th or 8th floor of the BB&T building, look in the windows with them and see if there's anybody in certain rooms, if there's a question about it, or is everybody evacuated? Is there smoke on that level before the firefighters go up? A lot of things could be done in a positive thing with the verticals. Verticals are just time limited. You got multiple motors working on batteries, whereas the airplanes both have lift, which a quad or a hexa technically has no lift. It doesn't actually fly. It just basically picks itself up on the props, whereas an airplane produces lift by being pushed through the air. You could take one of these airplanes up to 3,000 or 4,000 feet, shut the motor off, and glide, and you have very little drain on the battery just for the autopilot and the camera. Actually, the camera has an internal battery on these, but can be powered from the main battery. But the airplanes are going to be much more efficient and useful for search and recovery, search and rescue. Don't like that in that word recovery too much. That sort of speaks of a bad outcome to a search. But, you know, that is a fact too. Aerial mapping, where a camera's pointing straight down. Aerial surveys on a 100-acre field. Cost you $3,000 for a survey from a normal surveyor, and basically they're going to give you 4 points on the field where they pound in stakes and say, here's the 4 corners of your field, where's my $3,000? Well, you put a camera or an ultrasonic sensor on one of these, and I can map down to 1 centimeter and give you the elevation as compared to Google Earth of each square centimeter of that 100 acres, simply by flying the airplane over that field in a pattern back and forth. And there's going to be just hordes and hordes of other ideas that come out for these things in the near future. And as each year goes by, more and more possibilities useful. And then there's just the sport of it too. Racing them. So, yeah, Steve, there's a lot of toys hanging in that ceiling. You'll have to come by sometime and we'll take a couple of them out. Actually, out in Leicester, you're probably pretty close to some big fields out there. Maybe I should come out your way. Give you a demo of one of these. As soon as I get as well versed at flying these RC airplanes as I am with the verticals. I've been working with the verticals for 2 years. Probably got close to 200 hours on them now. They're sort of becoming old hat and a little boring. I'm just real excited to get into the airplane part and the chances for flights that go on for a longer period of time than 10 minutes per battery change. So, yep, big boy toys. Later, Steve.